If you are serious about growing stronger vegetables, deeper green leaves, heavier fruits, and soil that keeps improving year after year, this is one guide you do not want to skip. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to the Evergreen Garden channel and drop a comment below telling me what you grow most in your garden, because everything we are about to cover can completely change how your plants perform. Today, we are uncovering the real power behind explosive plant growth, and that power is humus. Not compost, not manure, but humus, the final and most valuable stage of organic matter in soil. What humus actually is and why most gardeners misunderstand it. Humus is not fresh compost and it is not rotting leaves. Humus is fully decomposed organic matter that has broken down so completely that you can no longer recognize what it used to be. It is dark, crumbly, smells like forest soil, and stays stable in the ground for years. Unlike compost, which continues breaking down and feeding plants for months, humus works by improving soil structure, holding nutrients and feeding soil life long term. This is why plants grown in humus-rich soil develop stronger roots, better resistance to stress, and more consistent growth even in dry or poor conditions. Why humus is the engine behind explosive plant growth. Humus works like a natural battery in your soil. It holds nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and trace minerals, and releases them slowly as plants need them. 1 gram of humus can hold several times its weight in water, which means plants stay hydrated longer between watering. Humus also buffers soil pH, protecting roots from sudden changes caused by fertilizers or rainfall. This is why gardens rich in humus rarely suffer from nutrient lockout, weak growth, or yellowing leaves, even when conditions are not perfect. How humus feeds soil life, and why that matters more than fertilizer. Healthy soil is alive, and humus is what keeps it alive. Beneficial bacteria, fungi, and earthworms depend on humus as their long-term food source. These organisms convert nutrients into plant-available forms, protect roots from disease, and help plants absorb water more efficiently. When you add chemical fertilizer without humus, plants get a short boost and then struggle. When you add humus, soil biology does the work for you season after season. This is why gardeners who focus on humus use fewer inputs and get better results over time. So let's talk about how to create true humus at home, without taking any shortcuts. True humus does take time to develop, but honestly, it doesn't require any expensive tools or fancy equipment. You'll want to start with a compost pile, using a balanced mix of green materials, things like kitchen scraps and fresh grass, and brown materials such as dry leaves, cardboard, or straw. A good working ratio by volume is roughly 2 parts brown material to 1 part green material. Now, it's important to keep the pile moist but not soggy and give it a good turn every 2 to 3 weeks to introduce some oxygen. After about 6 months to a year, your compost will become dark and crumbly. But to really push it into true humus, you need to allow it to age undisturbed for another 6 to 12 months. The longer you let it rest, the more stable and powerful it becomes. Now let's look at how leaf mold becomes one of the richest forms of humus. One of the absolute easiest ways to create humus is by making leaf mold. All you need to do is pile up fallen leaves in a shaded area, give them a light watering, and then, just leave them alone. Fungal decomposition, working slowly, will transform those leaves into soft, dark humus over 1 to 2 years. Leaf mold humus is truly exceptional for improving soil structure and moisture retention, especially if you're dealing with sandy or compacted soils. Many experienced gardeners, I have to say, quietly rely on leaf mold as their secret weapon for healthy garden beds. So, how do you apply humus correctly for maximum results? Well, humus works best when you use it as a soil amendment, not just as a surface fertilizer. For garden beds, mix humus into the top 15 to 20 centimeters of soil, using a ratio of 1 part humus to 4 parts native soil. And for planting holes, especially for things like tomatoes, peppers, and fruit trees, blend humus and soil at a 1-to-1 ratio right in the root zone. This honestly creates an ideal environment for rapid root establishment without burning your plants or overstimulating top growth. Let's talk about how humus transforms container gardening and raised beds. You see, in containers and raised beds, humus is even more valuable because nutrients and water tend to drain away quite quickly. A reliable mix, in my experience, is 6 parts topsoil, 3 parts mature compost, and 1 part humus. This blend provides immediate nutrition, while also maintaining long-term fertility. Plants grown in humus-enriched containers, well, they show steadier growth, fewer nutrient deficiencies, and honestly much stronger resilience during hot weather. So let's talk about how to use humus as a long-term investment for your soil. Humus isn't, a quick fix. It's really a foundation for healthy earth. You'll want to apply it once or twice a year, ideally at the start of the growing season or while you're preparing your beds. Unlike compost or manure, humus doesn't just vanish in a few weeks. Each application builds upon the last, gradually transforming poor soil into rich living earth. After about 2 or 3 seasons of consistent use, many gardeners notice they need less watering, fewer fertilizers, and encounter far fewer plant problems overall. Now let's cover some of the biggest mistakes gardeners make when working with humus. The most common slip-up is confusing unfinished compost with humus. Immature compost can actually rob nitrogen from your soil and slow down plant growth. Another mistake is applying humus too thinly, which really limits its impact. Humus needs to be present in meaningful amounts to actually change the way your soil behaves. And finally, relying on store-bought humus without improving your soil biology can definitely limit your results. Humus works best when you pair it with organic practices that, protect and encourage soil life. So why is humus the secret behind gardens that just keep getting better every year? Well, gardens that thrive in the long run aren't built on constant feeding, but on real soil health. Humus acts as the bridge between organic matter and living soil. It stabilizes nutrients, supports soil biology, and creates the conditions where plants can honestly reach their full genetic potential. That's exactly why experienced gardeners quietly make humus their priority, instead of chasing after flashy products and quick fixes. If this guide has helped you understand humus on a deeper level, do consider subscribing to Evergreen Garden for more serious, practical gardening knowledge that actually works. Share this video with another gardener who's struggling with poor soil, and leave a comment below letting me know how you plan to start using humus in your own garden. Together, we grow smarter and stronger gardens, season after season.